I have a confession to make. That floating head in my proper Mashit reviews, I drew it. It was I who drew the floating head. Okay. Alright, so this movie is called, well, I guess in some dubs it might be called It Was I Who Drew the Little Man. Hard to say that title without making it sound all elegant and dramatic. But yeah, I'm just gonna call it I Drew the Little Man, because that's what the video I watched called it, and yeah, it was the final line of the movie, so yeah, it ends with a title drop, so yeah. I Drew the Little Man. So this is about this kid who he goes to school, and there's like this freshly painted wall. You know, it all looks so nice, and then he just gets kind of overly excited and just draws on the wall. Yeah, he draws this rather uniquely designed character, simply called the Little Man. And yeah, he's got like, you know, this silly, tall, not really a top hat, but it's kind of a rounded, tall hat, and an umbrella, and yeah, he looks partially like a clown, but not entirely, anyway. So yeah, he draws on the wall, and then he realizes, oh crap, like, he ruined the nice clean wall, freshly painted wall, and then, yeah, the students come in, and then the teacher notices the drawing on the wall. Like, right before he says that, he's like, look at how nice this room looks, look at all the fresh paint, and, oh, what's this? And yeah, he notices the drawing, and then, also earlier, like, right after the kid drew on the wall, he got, like, ink on his hands, and, like, he shook hands with this friend of his that he seems to just call Redhead. Yeah, because he's Redhead, yeah. Yeah, so he gets ink on the other kid's hands, so... And apparently he washes them between that point and when the teacher finds the drawing on the wall. So yeah, he asks all the kids to raise their hands. He finds ink on the redhead kid's hand, and yeah, the redhead kid gets framed. And yeah, the kid basically he tries to intervene, but then when he's asked what's up, like, the teacher tries to ask him if he has anything to say, he's like, nothing. So yeah, he lies, and then, you know, clearly he feels bad about it. He goes home, but he just kind of waves it off like, oh, it's nothing. But yeah, then, like, all of his toys come to life and stuff. You know, they, like, basically guilt trip him. And then the drawing comes to life and comes to his house. And, you know, he tries to persuade him to tell the truth the next day. And, yeah, the kid is just so stubborn, he just refuses, and then... I mean, your toys and this drawing already know, so what's the point of withholding the truth from the teacher? The teacher's probably going to treat you a lot more nicely than your toys are. I mean, yeah, you tell the truth, the teacher will probably be like, oh, well, that's very bad of you. Just give a slap on the wrist. I don't know. Maybe make him clean the wall, but anyway, yeah, the drawing, yeah, the kid just refuses to tell the truth, and then the drawing, like, he brings up something about, like, this kingdom of lies, and then his radio comes alive and basically tells him to perform some kind of ritual that will bring him to the kingdom of lies, because it like tempts him with like how he'd be treated and stuff. If he's a liar, And obviously, I mean, he kind of, early on, it kind of, the twist you would probably expect is like, they lie to him. Although that's not entirely the case. It's kind of hard to, like, fully explain, but yeah, he's taken to the kingdom of lies. He meets the queen, and she has this thing where she, like orders her servants to bring her masks with various expressions on them, to kind of, hide something along the lines of, she wants to wear this face to appear nice or something like that. Again, kind of hard to fully explain, but I can kind of see I get the general gist of what it's saying. It's probably the only thing about the only unique element to this Kingdom of Lies, because I thought the whole gimmick of the place would probably be like the everything they say is a lie, and like there's this subplot where the drawing is like locked out, and there's a sign on the door that basically tells him to push towards himself, so in other words pull, and he tries pulling for a long time and then basically gives up. And I was thinking the whole time, like, well, this is the Kingdom of Lies. Clearly that sign must be lying, so why don't you just push? But he takes so long, and you start like screaming in your head, he's just push the door. But no, that never happened. So, but yeah, he sends messages to the kid via like paper airplanes, or I guess paper birds, and yeah, the kid is perfectly fine at first. He's basically enjoying the happy life he was promised by the radio, the talking radio. But then, like, this former servant of the queen, she made him a chimney sweep, so he, like, sneaks in from a chimney and draws, like, a mustache on one of her masks, and then kind of ruins an interaction with this prince from this other kingdom of something equally bad as lies. Hold on a second, I got a bit of an itchy throat. So, let me see. So yeah, the queen thinks that the kid did it, and she kicks him out of her castle, but the kid's still in the kingdom. And then he finds out about this festival or something where people, like, catch bubbles. Technically, it's actually, they're balloon, or I mean, they say they're balloons, but yeah, they're actually bubbles. But yeah, they have this thing where people can try to catch a balloon and try to make a wish on it before it pops. And yeah, apparently if they say the whole wish before it pops, then they get the wish. At least that's what they tell them. But then the kid basically figures that they're lying. So yeah, another little aspect of lies. For a Kingdom of Lies, you don't see a whole lot of lies. I mean, yeah, some basic lies here and there, but yeah, it's I just feel they don't take full advantage of the concept of lying, like a whole kingdom that's built on lies. But yeah, I guess that might be the underlying idea of the place. But yeah, the kid figure, or like the little man drawing, like goes into one of the kid's books and figures out that one way to keep a bubble, like hold on to a bubble without it popping, is like to wear wool gloves. And so yeah, the kid, I guess conveniently has some woolen gloves, so he wears them, he catches a bubble. Well, apparently the queen finds out about what he's planning to do ahead of time, so she tries to get this wizard to actually grant whatever wish he makes, to prove him wrong, or try to prove him. Yeah, they know it's a lie. Yeah, so yeah, the chimney sweep kid basically tells the main kid that what the queen's planning, and then he comes up with his own idea for what to wish for. So he catches a bubble, and then after thinking long and hard about it, he just says, "I wish it was the day before yesterday." I guess he couldn't wish himself back to before he drew the little man, because I guess that way, if that happened, then he, like, the proper consequences slash lessons wouldn't have been learned. Yeah, but still, if I was him, I just wish that to go back before that happened, so I just wouldn't do it. I'm sure he learned his lesson by this point anyway, but yeah, he goes back to after he drew it, but before he lied to the teacher, and yeah, he just quickly comes forward, says, "I drew the little man," and yeah, and then the little man does one little wink to the camera. You know how those things end. Yeah, these kinds of movies. So yeah, and I thought it was fun. I mean, okay, it wasn't amazing, but yeah, I thought it was serviceable. There were some somewhat creative visual effects. Just the fact that one of the main characters is just an ink drawing. You can see right through him and stuff. That was kind of cool. Yeah, it was colorful, kind of vibrant, despite like the Kingdom of Lies having like no color in the background. But I guess that's part of the idea. It kind of looks like it's on a piece of paper or something. So yeah, it's and yeah, the characters have like a similar design as Enchanted Boy did. Yeah, it was pretty entertaining. I do feel that the more I watch these Russian films, the more I kind of pick apart like the flaws with them. Like with this movie, I kind of officially pointed out the flaw that the characters tend to talk a lot. Like they're very, like the dialogue can get very wordy. They might spend like 15 seconds just trying to make a single point. And yeah, there's a definite show don't tell message behind just how they're spending so much time telling over showing. And yeah, but yeah, sometimes the dialogue just gets a little too wordy, and it's like you can just compress that down to like one sentence or something. Sometimes you don't need to say anything at all, and also there's like these brief musical numbers where they basically just sing what you could probably figure out by yourself. So yeah, I do feel these Russian movies are getting they've always been wordy, but yeah, it's starting to become more noticeable. I'm not saying this is necessarily more wordy than previous ones. I think it's always been present. It's just that, and I think that's a major reason why I felt the way I did about some of the earlier ones. Like, you know, probably some of my least favorite movies. Like, sometimes it gets confusing. Like, Night Before Christmas. Um, But there's other movies like Snow Maiden and Frog Princess where I just feel that they spent more time talking about how they feel than actually really expressing how they feel. Like, there's a verbal way to say a lot of the things that they're just spending like uh, like 30 seconds elaborating on. So yeah, it's becoming a bit of an annoyance to me. I hope later Russian movies tone down on the dialogue and just try to spend more time showing over telling. And that's kind of my main issue with this movie, and I guess it's kind of an issue with a lot of the other Russian movies, but still, this was a decent little movie. It's entertaining enough. It has kind of a basic moral, like, you've seen plenty of, like, after-school specials and, kids' cartoons and stuff that basically tell you not to lie, or the basic message that if you do something bad, sooner or later you'll get caught. A bit of a hole in that logic, but nonetheless. But yeah, this movie was fine. I'd probably give it, I guess a 7 out of 10 is fair enough. I mean, I was kind of thinking somewhere between a 6 and a 7. I wasn't sure though. But honestly, yeah, this movie's kind of it's kind of the same quality as other movies I've given a 7. So yeah, probably lean towards that. But yeah, if you're interested, feel free to check it out. And yeah, that's about all there is to say, unless I have any other comments to add to the comments section. So yeah, Mash it and Smash it signing off.